Hi, everyone. Welcome to the First Customer Podcast. My name's Jay Agner. Today, I'm lucky enough to be joined by Renee Vardouniotis. Did I get it right?
You did.
Oh, thank God. CEO and co-founder of CAPEMovement. We were chatting a few minutes ago, not too far away, both Pennsylvania folks, so that's always fun. Where'd you grow up, and did that have any inklings of your entrepreneurial journey later in life?
So I grew up in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, and I lived there until I went to college. And I went away to Penn State for college, and I didn't move back after. I stayed. I would come visit, and I would stay with my parents, but I had just visions of doing more and really expanding my wings. I ended up moving to New York City and going to grad school at New York University and living in Manhattan for 2 years. And my husband is also from we met at Penn State, but he's from New York, so we ended up staying
Hmm.
on Long Island, and I got my first job there, and so on and so forth. But I'm back in Pennsylvania. The entrepreneurial journey began when I moved back here.
Okay.
So I
So,
guess in a way it inspired me, but I also think it was more so who you're connected with and who you surround yourself with.
sure.
And I was finding different avenues for entrepreneurship through direct sales and things like that.
Hmm.
And I started working for a wine company. That was my first experience with direct sales. We did wine tastings and donated to various charities, which was just so cool. And I thought that was my path, right? I thought
Hmm.
that was my path. I'm a speech therapist by trade.
I saw
So,
that. I saw that.
yes.
That's very, our little guy, my 5-year-old, had speech
Mhm.
therapy when he was little, but we were pretty convinced it's because my daughter, who was only a year older than 18 months older than him, would never let him talk. Once he finally started to get out of her shadow, he was fine, but there's a soft spot in my heart for speech
Aw.
therapists. Let's rewind a little bit. Penn State, New
Mhm.
York, University. Where'd you go after college? Where'd you go? Was that right to the wine tasting after that?
So after college, I got my first job as a speech therapist in a school district on Long Island. And I that's where I planted my roots for the time being, and I stayed there throughout my marriage, and I had 2 children, and then I just was, again, feeling restless, I guess you would call it. Is this what I wanna be doing? Is this where I wanna live? And it turns out that just the stars aligned, and there was an opening for a speech therapist at a school in Pennsylvania, and right near where I live now. And my sister works in the district, my friend is the principal of the school, and it was just like a perfect time for me to say, "Okay, this opportunity didn't fall in my lap for no reason. I need to pursue this." So I only had New York licensure, so I had to go through the whole process of getting licensed in Pennsylvania, which if any of you out there have ever done is it's an undertaking. It really is. And when I was doing my initial paperwork when I first got my job, when I was in my early 20s, you take a test and they didn't even have them electronically recorded. So I had to
Right.
through the state and find out where my score was for this test and that test. Nothing was documented electronically. So it just took a lot longer than I wanted.
Hmm.
I think I did a month and a half of work to try and get my licensure in Pennsylvania. So I was on a mission. I was on a mission. I was very dedicated to this move. So got my job in Pennsylvania, moved myself and my 2 children, who my daughter was barely 2 and my son was almost 5, to Pennsylvania. Left my husband in Long Island to work and sell the house and figure out where he was gonna work down here. And then, we made it work, and we've been here for 8 years now.
Wow. Do you
Mhm.
feel like, and this is probably wrong, but as a speech, do you feel like you grabbed any of the Long Island accent when you're up there? I feel like I hear just like a slight little bit of
Mhm.
it. Is it
Yeah.
a little bit of it, you think?
Yes.
I wanna make sure I wasn't making it up.
No, I lived there for 15 years, so yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, I did
Okay.
pick up a little bit of it, and what's ironic is when I went to college, I didn't know I had a Pennsylvania accent,
Right.
and my friends who were from New York were like, What are you saying?" Something so simple as to say the word notes, I would say nates or
All right. Right. Yep.
thing, twang, and I was not aware that I had that accent until went to school. So
Mhm.
I've been hyper aware of it since. So when I moved back here, now my kids are growing up here and I'm trying to like neutralize their accents. I don't want them to have that strong twang because I don't like how it
Right.
sounds. And it just doesn't sound good to me. No offense to
Okay.
anybody, but it's just now that I've been out of it to come back in, I hear myself saying a couple things with the
Mhm.
twang, but I've tried to keep it pretty neutral.
Okay. I'm from Virginia originally. and it's taken me a long time to lose a lot of not that I wanted to, it just naturally happens when you're somewhere. I think I've been here
Mhm.
like 15, 20 years, but same thing. Lost it over time, but it still comes back when I go home. My wife's,
Yeah.
"Who are you?" She doesn't recognize me for a few minutes when we get, like, especially when I'm ordering food, I'll call people darling and stuff. Who the hell are you?
Oh,
Tell me how you got to the Cape movement. We bounced around a little bit. You went up to New York, you came
mhm,
back. What
mhm.
was the catalyst to start the Cape movement project?
Sure. So this project was born out of a moment in time of my life where I was feeling like I needed to pour into myself. I wasn't really, I was feeling stagnant and that energy of just feeling like, is this it? Like I felt right before I left New York. Is this it? Is this where I want to be? Is this what I want to do? I was working with really special needs children who I love and will always love, but my fire was going out. My flame was dimming, and
Mhm.
it wasn't nothing to do with where I was working or who I was working with or anything like that. It was just a moment of feeling that I needed to feel fulfilled in a different way. And my desire to make an impact far and wide was really sitting with me. And it was during COVID that all of this happened, that I ended up investing in a mindset program. No idea. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I was just seeking, Jay, like just seek.
Yep.
So I was willing to do anything to try and really pour into myself and build myself up and just to make me a better mom, a better wife, a better human. And I just knew that a mentor is the only way, like really the best way to do that.
Yep.
So I invested in a program, and from there I met my business partner Angie, who's also an educator. She's just since left the district too. So she and I kept saying to ourselves, we're learning really cool stuff. Like we're learning about the mind, we're learning about the subconscious mind, and we're learning about goal setting and how to process emotion and paradigms, which is a word that I had never heard of. And if I didn't know what it was.
Mhm.
So all this to say that the what we were learning in this program was it was life changing for me. And if you've ever read the book Think and Grow Rich, that's where my mentor, he's been a pioneer in this industry since this began, really. And in that book, Think and Grow Rich, and also our two of our mentors would always say, this isn't taught in schools. This wasn't taught in schools. If your teachers couldn't give that to you because they weren't taught it in school. So there's a whole lineage of folks who are teaching the same things over and over again, but not really getting down to how we learn, how our mind works, who we want to be, where we want to go, what we want to do.
Yeah.
And it results in a lot of confusion for our children, for even adults. There's a reason why the mental health stats are through the roof with depression, anxiety, suicide, attempted suicide. It's just wrong. It just
Right.
shouldn't be this way. Our children should not be feeling this way. And so our desire sparked a flame into what we've created is loosely based on the mindset program that we were involved with called Thinking into Results.
Mhm.
And we took a lot of the concepts we were learning, plus added more and developed programming that's bite size and easily digestible by a range of children. And the way that it's different from other, I guess you would call it a social emotional learning program that your kids probably had an SEL program implemented in their school, is that we target the programming. So we all have programs that come down from our ancestors, like through and through years, right? Through generation. And some of those programs really are beneficial to us and it works for us and our family, but some of them aren't. And that's okay. But the reason why it's okay is because we have every opportunity to change that. And so that is our goal, is to really allow our children to feel happy within themselves, have that self-confidence and understanding about themselves that I think is lacking in our formal education.
Is it a course that you're selling to, individuals or, like, parents, or is it, schools? Like, who are your customers?
So all of the above.
Okay.
We've been told by several people that we work have hired to help us build this, that we have to niche down. And we struggled with that for a while because we have something for everyone. So if you sell to everyone, you're selling to no one.
Yep.
So we poured our hearts into educators in a school district in Ohio. and put them through the mindset program, but just for them, not the children. It was like really to fill their cup.
Sure.
We just finished that, but our main focus right now is to really get our children involved
Mhm.
and present it to as many folks as possible to really help families with the process of the kids really understanding who they are and not feeling terrible sometimes, but if they do, to know how to adjust and to pull tools out to get through hard times. We're all going to go through them.
Right,
It's
right.
how armored are we with tools to deal with stuff that comes our way.
I There's a book I read recently called The Happiness Trap, and it
Mhm.
talks about, the big thing is a bunch of that's a great book, I really recommend it. A lot of it's talking about it equates to your emotions and the things you go through as a storm and you're a boat at sea, like, you're never gonna
Mhm.
be able to, make the storm go away when you want it
Right.
to, but if you anchor yourself and you can get through it and weather the
Mhm.
storm, then the other side, eventually you'll be fine, right? So I
Mhm.
think it's a great mindset for kids. I didn't learn it at 37. I just found the book like a few months ago. So I think it's
Mhm.
a great thing. I think I do want to key in on one thing you said though. The school district in Ohio sounds like some version of your first customer. How did you get connected with them? Was the point to get feedback? Was the point to
Mhm.
get some social proof from them? What was the kind of thoughts behind working with them? Is it to get some kind of initial feedback from somebody?
Yes, that and also the director of curriculum had expressed interest in our program. We knew him through a girl kind of thing. And my business partner, Angie, lives in Ohio and she is friends with a staff member there. So it spread that way. We had
Yeah.
several meetings with them. They're wonderful. And the director of curriculum said, I just want to help my staff. I don't know how to help them. Do I give them yoga lessons? Do I have them meditate at school? What do I do?
Right.
And we said, really feel strongly that we can help with that. The idea is to have children go through this, but adults need it just the same, if
Right.
not
Yeah.
more. So we had worked on and off with them. Then they got a new superintendent. So we had to start the process all over again.
Hmm.
And that September, this was last year, Angie and I talked about it. I said, why don't we gift them our program? Because they've expressed the interest. And we had all these meetings with them. And clearly there's a need there.
Right.
So we ended up having a survey sent out and teachers they had the choice to go through the program and we had about 20 educators that agreed to go through this program and it's about 4 months.
Hmm.
It's 13 lessons and you go through one lesson a week and then there's activities that follow up that are really they make the lessons like apply to your life.
Hmm.
So they're really useful functional activities to culminate what they learned in the lesson, and we meet with them every week. So yes, that was I would say our first run through, like
Hmm.
official run through of our course. And now we do our first teen that joined and enrolled our program, and we work with her now with a few others. And she's our first customer.
Very cool. Now, is that like, how did that come about? Was it somebody you knew? Was it somebody
Mhm.
from the website? Like, how did you get your first customer?
So we went and trained with Dave Van Hoos. He's a motivational public speaker. And we did a training with him on how to speak publicly.
Hmm.
And he pretty much helped us develop our presentation
Okay.
and was learning about our what we had to offer. And he said, I really think my daughter would benefit from this. And we said, let's set up a call. So it was a connection that was divine, really,
Mm.
for Dave, who's been in the industry for a long time of personal development and hypnosis and things like that. And his daughter is our girl that we work with. And we just love her. And we're seeing and hearing a lot of cool things from her about what she's
Hmm.
learning. And
Sure.
that's really our why.
Right. Oh, no, I love that. So many first customers are. I always call it the friends and family plan.
Yeah.
They're always somebody that you know from some, but like those, and
Mhm.
as I'm sure you know from your first experiment or run through in Ohio, like those, the feedback you get, number one, is immeasurably important, but also the ability to go to the next group of people and say, "Hey, this is what I did for somebody else." Now you have that in your back pocket when you're
Mhm.
trying to sell it and make this thing grow. That's a really cool. That's something that I think people can key on is like finding someone to trial your product or
Mhm.
your service or your plan or your whatever it is can be really beneficial, especially to you as a business owner. Right? I'm sure that helped you guys hone in and trying to tweak your process when you were building this thing.
Absolutely, and we always say we don't have toes, you can't step on them. If you let us know, we want to improve, we want to get better.
Right.
We want the information that we're presenting to land. We want
Mm-hmm.
you to pick up what we're putting down, and if you're not, we wanna understand, how to make it better.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it was very valuable to have those, educators go through it, and we've gotten really great feedback from them. And, what helps us even with testimonials to we come from small beginnings. We don't have big names yet. So until that happens, this is the process that we're going through.
Yeah, no, that's dead on. What you mentioned it before, and it sounds like you are going after a couple different call them verticals, you can call them
Mhm.
niches, you can call them whatever you want. Teenage girls, I would have to imagine there's in the magnitude of tens of millions of those in America, just in America alone.
Mhm.
What what subset of that group are you guys trying to focus on first? Who are you going after if you would just go out tomorrow and find the next customer?
The next customer is we're actually having a call tomorrow with a whole family is going to be enrolling in our program. So they have a mother, a stepfather, and then 3 children that are the mothers.
Mhm,
And then, they also have their real father, their birth father, he's not going to be involved, but he's also in the picture. Oh, and they have a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, an almost 13-year-old, and an 11-year-old, and they want to go through this program all together as a family, which is ideal, really, because
yeah,
if you're not speaking the same language as your children, then there's no communication, or it's a struggle, and no parent wants that. I think who we really feel is the best group of folks to to about this is mindset forward people who are big into personal development because they'll understand the value of the presentation, how we present, how the course runs. There
mhm,
won't be a lot of confusion as to what the why of that, of why we're targeting, you know, very important foundational skills in the way that we do, and that's through spaced repetition. And that spaced repetition is how we learn our language. It's how we learn our ABCs. It's how your baby right now is learning everything. Your baby's subconscious mind is wide open
yeah,
and everything gets accepted in there. So everything that they can't say no to things, right?
right,
So it's the language is filtering in, the ability to move hands and legs it's all programming that's happening. And it's important for us to realize that we can change their trajectory of lives. We don't have to accept everything that comes in. And if we do, make sure it's worth your acceptance, right? Like thoughts.
right.
We're always going to get negative thoughts, but you just let them in and let them out, right? In one ear, out
Mm,
the other. And don't let that continuously impress on your subconscious mind.
I'll say the only thing my daughter Amelia will say no to so far is diaper changes. She does the alligator death roll when
Yes.
she and she was not she wants no part of having her diaper changed. Yes, the point well taken. How do you guys plan on this is a problem that I encountered when I first started running my business because I ran my business through Upwork originally, which is just like a freelancing website. So people were coming to me.
Hmm.
And then when I stepped outside of that to grow the business naturally, I had to do the opposite and filter the entire world down to find the subset of people that were going to be
Hmm.
attracted to an offer like mine. And we do software testing, so it's a very narrow band of people. But how are you guys narrowing down your? So it sounds like you got your forward-thinking mindset, open people. How are you trying to find those people? How are you trying to segment down the world to find your people who'd be attracted to your program?
Sure. I'm involved with a lot of Facebook groups of similar minded folks.
Hmm.
I'm in two different masterminds.
Sure.
And on Thursdays, we host a webinar where we talk about our program.
Mhm.
And if they want to talk about it further, they can hop on a call. So it's really like attraction. What we're doing is attracting, we put it out there and we're attracting those who have interest. And it's been a process, though, I'll tell you that. When your business is in infancy, there's so many things you have to do to
Mhm.
run a business. This portion of it is the exciting portion of it is the sharing
Mhm.
and really getting in people's emails and in their DMs just to raise awareness as that what we have to offer people. And so our webinar is on Thursdays from 12 to 12:30 Eastern. So we just started that weekly about a month ago, and we got this one family from that webinar. So
Beautiful. See, it's
it's
working.
starting to really flourish, and it's very exciting, and we'll hop on a call with anybody. I wanna talk
Sure.
to everyone about it and give them the information and have them take with it what they want, but it could really change people's lives, and that's the plan.
Yeah. I love that. And I think a lot of people don't. You seem like you figured that part of it out, which is great. I think
Yes.
people struggle with that part a lot. If you had to start back over tomorrow with everything that you've learned so far
Mhm,
and start a program like this and go after a subset of people that you know are going to be or you want to be your customers or you think are going to be
mhm,
your customers,
mhm.
what would be step one for you? What would be step one to start the Cape movement again tomorrow if you had to?
I think I would so we would have gone back to our why. Our reason why was to reach children.
Hey, hey.
And in that, we developed an adult program thinking that children should be going through this with the adults. And
Right.
then we gifted it to some adults. And just to get that feedback, like I said, with the educators, but we did it with families first,
Hey,
but
hey.
no one followed through. So we're like, all right, let's move on next, on to the educators. But we've really gone back to our root of our why, and that's the children. Children, teens. We had a gentleman who was interested in us developing a program for his 3-year-old, and so we're now developing Cape Tots. So we have Cape Tots, Cape Kids, Cape Teens, Cape Adults, and Cape Educators.
Wow.
Yeah.
Some lots of capes.
Yes.
Like that.
And we have 2 facets. So we have Children and Parents Empowered Cape. We
Yeah.
have Captivating and Powerful Education Cape.
Okay. Wow.
But it's all
Uh,
really down to really understanding that you are the superhero of your life and you should always be wearing your cape.
I love that. I do. I love that a lot. All right, let's switch gears a little bit.
Yep.
As an entrepreneur, as things are stressful, things are busy, you don't have time for stuff. What are three things health wise you're doing for yourself to make sure you stay tuned up and your longevity is as high as it can be?
I'm a yogi. I love yoga. I do yoga. I started 3 years ago, so I started really delving into that practice. So that's something I do several times a week. But besides, like, exercise, which is I do all forms every day,
Hmm.
it's really being present, being mindful, and living in the moment, like, being where my feet are is that's a practice as well.
Sure. Absolutely.
Especially as a
Okay.
parent, it's sometimes we forget to take care of ourselves when that's doing our kids no good. If we pour out to them everything, then we have nothing left for us. And it depletes over time. And then it becomes an illness or a depression, or our bodies react to that.
Mm.
So really being present and mindful is where it has been a practice. My mind races a lot. So it's been very good for me to sit and to carve out that time to just put in my ear pods and listen to a meditation. Or even during my yoga practice this morning, I got there 10 minutes early and I meditated for the whole 10 minutes. Finding those pockets of time in the car, I do it all the time. Put radio off and just sit and take in my surroundings. What do I see? What do I hear? What am I tasting in my mouth? What am I touching? And just feeling those. It seems odd to do that, but when you start doing it, you start realizing that you are grounding yourself
Yeah.
and all the noise disappears.
Yeah. I like it. I love meditation because you're always practicing.
Mhm.
You're never gonna master it. It's
No,
always every second of every day is trying to practice, and boy, is it a practice with 5 kids, I can tell you, it's very hard
you
to
probably have
do.
to leave the house and go to a friend's house.
Oh, I do it. I get up I'm an early riser now. I do the 5 AM. I have to
Good.
if I don't get up early, then I got no shot. There's no chance. So I
Nope.
gotta get up I say I get up before the gremlins wake up. So
Yeah, I
if I do
love
that,
that.
I'm good to go. All right, so mystery question time. So I've been kind of doing this one lately, non-business related, because the easy answer to this is just I'll make my business the number one business in the world.
Got it. Yep.
What would you do,
Mhm.
anything on earth, if you knew you couldn't fail?
I would spread impact far and wide. Every country we would have our hands in and help those who are struggling. That's really to be able to travel all over the world and help people is a dream for me.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's a good one. All right, let's end it there. This was great. I think people got some great stuff out of this. Very relatable, which I think is key to these podcasts. Is the whole reason I do it is so that people can listen to these and maybe hear something they go, oh,
Mhm.
Renee did that, then I can maybe go chase this thing that I think would be really a cool product or a cool
Sure.
service or a cool business to run. Where can people find you and the Cape Movement?
So we have a website, CAPEMovement.com. It's a little, I keep saying this because it's true. We have to facelift it a little bit. A lot has changed
Hmm.
since we implemented that website. It was over a year ago, and it's exciting that things have changed. We get to change that, but that's where you can find a little bit about what we do. We have a private Facebook group that is for folks who are interested in learning more. It's Cape Movement, I think. Our Facebook is We Are Cape Movement.
Okay.
That's our Facebook, but then we have a group within there of it's a private group. Then for my for Instagram, we're Cape Movement at Cape Movement. For myself, I'm at Renee two what do they call it? The low slashes. What are
Uh,
they
uh,
called?
underscore?
Underscore two underscore
There you go.
VEE.
Okay.
And if anybody is listening that wants to chat more about this or just hop on a call with myself or Angie, we'll talk all day about it. So it's really something that's in our hearts and we are on the phone all the time with people asking questions. We love that. It's something that we really feel strongly about is just getting the information in people's hands and then they can make choices about what they want to do with it and if they want to
Right.
pursue really developing themselves. And yeah, so I think that's probably the best way is to check out the website or to find us on Facebook or Instagram right now. We're on other things
Okay.
too, but we haven't developed them as much. But
All right. I'll put the links in the show notes and people will be able to find you. You're great, Renee. I
no,
think you're
thanks.
doing
So
some
are
awesome
you.
stuff and I hope people reach out and find you, but I know your time is valuable. So thank you for being on today
Thank
and
thank
we'll
you for
talk
having
again
me.
soon. All right.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much. I'll
Okay,
talk to
thanks.
you. See
Bye.
ya.